conversation with Gul Panag about electric vehicles, she just told me that she has an electric car herself, which she prefers over the other petrol or diesel version of another car that she owns. So tell us about this car, Gul, and how, a question that all of us would have is, how do you charge it?
I've been driving the electric car now for 3 years, 3.5 actually, and we were early adopters because we genuinely believed that it is a better mode of transportation. It's more convenient, it's more practical, it's more compact, and also, and this is for people who believe that electric cars can't be fun, it's surprisingly fun and quick. Let me speak about the first point. Now, how do you charge it? We have a stilt parking in Bombay. I live in a apartment building, so my car is parked in the stilt parking. There is a 15 amp plug point installed in the garage, which has a line leading to my meter, and it charges. One charge takes 10 units. Even at the progressive tariff rate of 10 units, 10 rupees per unit. That's about 1,000 rupees. That's about $100 per charge.
Right.
And I charge it not more than 2 times a week. So effectively, apples to apples, as far as running cost is concerned, it's way cheaper than petrol or diesel. Now, another question that I get asked is, what if you run out of charge? Well, the thing is, when your gasoline or diesel car is empty, do you leave the house? No, you provision for you to have enough fuel before you step out. Secondly, I'd like to offer an analogy. This is a stage of mobile phones, for example, back in the late 90s, when there were no power banks, when you weren't able to find a charger if your phone died. So you left the house with your phone charged, and it was your responsibility to keep it charged. Right. To constantly say, oh, government isn't giving infra, that probably is not the best way to go forward if we want to make a change and if we want to be a forward-thinking nation. So I think as we go along, there will be many more options coming up. But what I find very encouraging is the position the government has taken by setting a very ambitious plan in place to try and go fully electric by 2030, and I am very happy with it.
Right. Right. Just to take that thought forward, I'm sure that considering that EV adoption right now has been challenging for this country, it's not been all cakewalk. So what are some of the problems that you face in terms of driving this electric vehicle, and how do you think that the average Indian who owns or who would like to adopt an EV as their first car, how do you recommend they go about it?
So, as I was saying earlier, apples to apples, the running cost is pretty much probably 1/3 or 1/4 of an IC engine car. The challenges, however, are that the cost of acquisition of electric vehicles, because of cost of technology, is slightly higher, nullifying perhaps a pure apples to apples comparison in terms of acquisition and running cost. So while running cost is way cheaper, acquisition is a little higher. So that firstly needs to be addressed. There is a significant amount of effort by the government to try and push electric. I was talking to the Honourable Minister Nitin Gadkari the other day exactly about this, because I do a lot of advocacy work for electric mobility, and he said that from his perspective, there are 2 incentives. One, that it has a lower GST rate, and 2, that as more and more people, more and more OEMs manufacture and supplies increase, economies of scale will result in a lower manufacturing cost. And thirdly, he said that the running cost is cheaper, and that's an incentive. While I completely agree with the Honourable Minister, I feel that if we are to truly be a game changer in the electric mobility world, we would need to also consider a favourable subsidy system for electric cars. For example, today the leaders in the electric mobility space are China, followed by Europe and Britain, where there is subsidy to offset the initial cost of acquisition. That is something that I would request the powers that be to think about. And I think what they've done with the EESL tender is show their intent by showing their intent to acquire such a large number of electric vehicles. They will actually normalize the perception of electric. When you see your postman, wherever there is a postman left these days, your post-delivery vehicles, your government department vehicles that are seen normally electric, it will begin to normalize this perception that people have of electric, which is as this hawa. Electric hai, kaise hoga, kitna chalti hai, chalegi, nahi chalegi, charge se khatam ho jayega, all those things. Seeing our ministers, seeing our IS officers in electric cars is also a very positive symbol to get people to get people used to the idea of electric. Of course, there can be lots of further incentives. We could consider giving free taxi permits to fleet operations that do only electric, mandate that all fleet and taxi operations must have a certain percentage of electric in their existing IC engine operations. We can also make it mandatory for all public transportation to be electric. Now that is where the government can directly have aggressive intervention. Particularly this government can, because it controls more than 2/3 of state legislatures in this country.
Sure.
And they can actually mandate that all public transport be electric. And when that happens, I think we will truly begin to see an acceptability. Another thing, Deepshika, that I'd like to talk about is a lot of people say a significant portion of our energy today comes from thermal. Well, that is true today. Policy framework, OEM, manufacturing plans are not made for today. They're made from 5 years hence. India is going to add a total capacity of 100 gigawatts of solar power in the next 5 years, and an additional 75 gigawatts of other renewable sources of energy. Now with that, in the next 5 years, we are going to be one of the largest producers of clean energy. If you keep that on the table, along with the fact that we're all pushing for electric, I think we're in the right direction. The last point, disposal of lithium-ion batteries. Now, with all due respect to all those who are naysayers for electric, I think it's also very challenging to dispose mercury bulbs. But that doesn't mean we stop the electrification process. That doesn't mean that we forget about the fact that there are people who could benefit from a light source. Just because we don't have an answer to how we're going to dispose it is not a reason enough to not go ahead with that.
Right.
Whilst in parallel we develop safe ways for disposal.
Right.
So these are really my 5 or 7 or 6 cents.
Right. Gul, that was really insightful. There's some of the things that Gul shared with me today I actually had no idea about. So clearly we see that she is a strong advocate. Gul, if you had one thing to share with everyone who is buying a first car and would like to, as soon as more electric vehicle options are available in the market, there will be better adoption. What is your one takeaway that you'd like to share with anyone who's looking to invest in a first car that would be an electric car?
In the 3 years that I've had my car, I'm in the process of upgrading to my third electric. So I started with a 2-door, which was the Mahindra E2O. I upgraded to the 4-door P6, and now I'm actually in the process of upgrading to the P8. It's faster, quicker, it's got instant, comparatively a nice pickup. Now, if I had to share something, it would be that a lot of people think that EVs are not fast. Now, as apples to apples, and this is a direct comparison, EVs are much quicker on instant starts because there's no lag in power delivery, unlike in an internal combustion engine where the cylinder has to fire, the power has to be translated into the crank and the camshafts, and the wheels have to turn. Here it's instant. So typically when I'm parked at a traffic signal in my little car, I'm not trying to outrun anybody, but when the traffic signal turns green, I find that I'm actually outdoing many 4-cylinder premium cars. And I'm not trying to race with them. So it's surprisingly quick, and of course with the beauty of being able to park pretty much in an area that's as compact as an auto rickshaw.
Right.
So compact and quick, I think that's the part that I hadn't bargained for when I got this car. It's so much fun to drive.
On that note, thank you so much for speaking with us, Gul. That was truly insightful, and I hope we can speak again. Thank you for being with ET Now.